I don't want to be tapped out when I get home anymore. I don't want to have to sit in the driveway and decompress for 20 minutes before I go inside to be with my family. Welcome back to Teacher Tales, where we give you the keys to overcoming teacher burnout to find work-life balance and educational bliss, if it still exists. On this interview episode of Teacher Tales, transformational advice and family are of the utmost importance. First, witness the sagely advice that reshaped an educator's approach to work-life balance. Then, relive the pivotal moments an educator found confidence in their teaching journey. Lastly, it's important to find your green grass, even if it means leaving the school that's taught you everything. So we have somebody on with one of the most unique names I've ever heard. Sparkle, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. And thank you for recognizing how unique my name is.
So, of course, we have to start off. Give us the breadcrumbs. Like, how did you get to teaching? And did you always kind of feel like you were going to be a teacher? I know that's two questions at once, but here we go.
Okay. So for me, I don't think that I always felt like I was going to be a teacher. When I was in undergrad, I actually had a focus, like a goal in mind to own a beauty salon.
What?
So my undergraduate focus was in business management. That's actually what my degree is in, business administration.
Same.
I have always been like really good at doing hair. So I had this whole thing in mind, like I'm going to learn everything I need to know about business, how to manage, how to handle finances, and then I'm going to open my own salon and I'm going to do hair and I'm going to manage it well because I'm going to know everything I need to know. So I graduated with my undergrad in business, decided I didn't really want to do hair anymore. That fled very quickly after graduation. So then I was like, you know what? I'll go into assets management because I've always been like a frugal spender.
Oh, money person.
And I was like, I could teach people how to manage their money. Yeah, that didn't work out how I thought. Nobody wanted to hire me. I didn't have any experience. So I was working for Hertz, and they had this like management trainee program. So I was like, cool, I'll do this for a while and get some management experience.
Right.
And probably about a year in, I was like, yeah, this ain't it. Like, I knew there was more, but I was like, this is not it. And I was like, I feel like I need to be working with kids, but I don't even know what that looks like. Then I said,
why'd you have that feeling? Because like you're working at a car rental place, but something about kids.
Well, so when I was in undergrad, I worked for the Boys and Girls Club of America. Okay. So I did like their after school program there, which I enjoyed, but I just didn't know what that looked like for me personally, as far as a career path was concerned. And then I don't know. I think I've just always been a naturally nurturing person. I was like, I'll go get a nursing degree. And then I'll work, at a children's hospital. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So that was what I started working on, looking at applications on how to like get into school, the best programs. And then I had an oncologist come rent a car. And she was telling me, like, you seem like a very, kind person, maybe a little sensitive. This might not be the lane for you. And I was like, oh no. And she said, yeah, like, you seem like the kind of person who would take home everything that you see and experience with these kids. And there's a lot, like it's a burden, to see sick children like this. Some of them don't survive. Do you really think that's something you could do?
Off this, like, just coming to rent a car?
Well, I mean, sometimes the customers, you have to, like, drop them off at certain locations or pick them up. And we were just
chatting.
Just talking in the car. So she was just telling me about her experiences and how, it took her years to kind of get to the point of not bringing everything home.
Right.
And then that was the moment where I was like, yeah, nursing that's not.
She had you spot on, too.
It's not going to work. I'm an empath to the fullest extent. And I was like, that's not going to work. So I was like, okay, well, then what's next? Like, I knew I needed to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to find an alternative certification program. I'll go into teaching. I know I can be a good teacher. Went online, paid the money to start the program, did a couple of the modules and activities, and then I just let it fall by the wayside. So I was like, yeah, it's taking too long to get.
Those programs can be.
The classes were like, yeah, I'm not
insane.
doing this. So in January 2009, mind you, in December 2008, I had literally just bought my first brand new car. When I say it was brand new, like it had 13 miles on it when I got it. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing it now. And in January 2009, the HR lady came in and she was like, hey, so we're laying you off.
Oh, no.
Effective immediately. I need your keys and your badge. And I was like, oh. So, like, it was almost like God was like, you need a little push and I'm going to give it to you. So he did. I went home that day and started all the coursework. Like, I just sat for hours and just did all the coursework. And then my advisor lady reached out. She was like, hey, you've completed, X percentage of the program. You're ready to take your certification test. I was like, cool. So I was like, psh, I'm made to be a teacher. I know I'm supposed to work with kids. I'm going to go take this test.
I can do this.
Yeah. $150. Signed up, went in there, got my results. I was 2 points shy of passing. So I was crushed. I was like, dang. And then I said, okay, that was your first time.
Right. 2 points.
Sign up again.
That's a fluke.
Yeah. So I started doing all my module activities, had to do some observation hours.
Mm-hmm.
I went first to the elementary school and I was like,
heck no.
Maybe this is not for me. Maybe, oh God, the kids are like cussing and fighting in the classroom.
Not cussing.
Like, no, this is not for me. So the next set of observation hours, I went to middle school. Now, the day that I went, my friend was actually not there.
Uh-oh.
So they sent me to this other lady. So she brings me in. Now, again, both of these schools are like within a mile or so of each other. So they're in the same type of community. So the teacher brings me in. She was like, look, these kids are not your friend. You need to know that. She was like, you come in here and you just need to be hardcore. Don't let up. Say what you got to say. Be done. They're not your friend.
Wow.
No niceness.
That sounds like
so I'm scared.
a disaster.
I'm scared because I said, what did I just walk into?
Totally different than that first classroom.
God. So she the kids come in, they're switching class and passing periods, whatever. And she was like, sit down and be quiet. And I was like, oh no, maybe teaching is not for me. Like this. Maybe that's why I didn't pass the test. Maybe it was all
maybe he's trying to tell me something different.
So I went there for a few days. I did get all of my hours. And I was like, let me just really think, like, is this the direction I want to go? But it was just like a tugging in me, like, keep doing it. Like, you can do this. This is where you need to be. So I signed up for the special education, early childhood through 12th grade certification test. Longest, 2-3 days of my life, right? Because at this point, I'm already like, am I going to pass? Am I not? Am I going to pass? Am I not? And I realized through this process that I have legitimate test anxiety. So I took the test. It was on a Friday. So, of course, you got to wait the weekend.
And then you got to wait the business days.
Oh, man. It was so long. And then I get the alert that my results are in. So I log in and I'm like, okay, God, just please, please let it be so I can get this job. So I log in and it said passed. So I'm crying real tears again because I'm like, yay, it's happening. The doors are opening. Oh, my God. So I called the administrator back. At this point, I'm like, you're just gonna be my mentor because you've guided me through this whole process. So
Yeah.
I call her back, and I'm like, I passed the special education test. Like, what do you got? And she was like, nothing yet. She was like, the other
Oh,
teacher decided not to resign. Also, she's just gonna go on FMLA. So I was like, dang. But she said it's okay. Because
right.
I said I was going to help you. I'm going to help you. And so she did. I went in, I was doing all these interviews, and I was on my way to like a third interview because I hadn't got any calls back yet. So I was like, I'm going to just keep going on interviews.
Right.
I was on my way to an interview, and she called me and she said, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm on my way to an interview. And she was like, don't go. I was like, what you mean don't go? And she was like, don't go. And I was like, I can't just not show up to the interview. And she was like, yeah, I got a position for you. She was like, don't go. And I was like, no, but wouldn't it be unprofessional if I just
Right.
like didn't show up? And she was like, no, like call them, tell them that you found something else. Come here. Like, come here now. I said, okay. I called them. Felt really bad about that too. I was like, hey, something else lined up for me. Thank you so much for the opportunity, but I won't be there for the interview.
Mm.
So I go to her site. She was like, I got a job for you. I was like for real this time? She said, no, for real.
I
She
got a
said, I got
job.
a job for you. She was like, give me 3 references, give me their phone numbers. The job is yours. I was
Dang.
like, wow,
Isn't that like one of the best messages you can receive in
man,
life? I have a job. You are hired.
you are hired. So I'm like immediately like, here's their names, here's their numbers. And then as soon as I gave her the names and numbers, I sent them text messages like, hey, I got a job lined up. I need y'all to answer when y'all
Yes.
see her
Yes.
calling.
Don't ignore the call
Don't
because it's not
ignore
saved
it.
in your phone, okay?
So she called, and like the next day she was like, hey, all your references responded to me, everything checked out. I submitted everything to HR. It's not official till you get the call, but
You in.
you're in. And I was like, oh God, it finally happened. The door opened. I'm going to have a job. I was just thrilled. Now, this had been a process. When I finally got this teaching position, it was in 2012. So if that tells you
3
the span
years?
of time,
Oh no.
yeah,
That's a
again,
long time.
2009. Now, I will say in the fall of 2009, I did go to an elementary school and I worked as a paraprofessional
Mm-hmm.
in a special education early childhood program. And that was an experience in itself. But I learned a lot from that. So I feel like what I learned from that, I was able to take
Right.
into the classroom, especially because I ended up getting hired for a special education position.
Mm-hmm. The first job.
It was 3 years in the making, but I made it.
So that was 11 years ago, 2012
Yeah.
to now. So what kinds of different roles have you had throughout those 11 years?
So I started as a special education resource teacher. I taught 5th and 6th grade resource. That was math, ELA. As a matter of fact, my first year teaching, I had self-contained kids. So I taught every single subject for 2 grade levels. I spent 4 years as a resource teacher, and then I was given the opportunity to become a compliance coordinator.
Okay.
So
What is that?
that was also a very loaded job. I was responsible for my campus specifically. I was responsible for 504 meetings, accommodations, making sure the teachers were remaining in compliance with providing those accommodations. I was also responsible for special education services, accommodations,
A
art
lot of
meetings,
stuff.
all the things, making sure teachers were in compliance with following what was in the IEP. I was also responsible for state assessments for the campus, so TELPAS, STAR assessments,
Ah,
all things,
all the
all
stuff that's a hassle.
all the stuff that is hard to manage. That was my job. That was my job for 4.5 years. And then in the
Mm-mm.
middle of my 5th year, I got offered to be dean and be an administrator. And so I did that for 2 years. And then I realized it was time to step away from the campus that I was at. So I just took a step back altogether, and I left the school district that I was in, the role that I was in, and I went to a new district and serve as art facilitator. So facilitating IEP meetings for 3 campuses.
Shout out to the R facilitators. You have
It's a job.
a wonderful job.
It's a fun job.
So, how would you describe teaching to someone who's never taught in the classroom?
Ooh,
That's a good question, right?
Great question. I think it has to come with a level of passion and compassion. I think there has to be a desire in order for you to teach, because that looks like not only am I teaching content, not only am I teaching skills, but I'm also teaching life skills.
Right.
I'm also teaching you manners. I'm also teaching you problem solving. I'm also teaching you, critical thinking. Like I'm also teaching you how to build relationships with other people. I'm also teaching you how to, decompress, or how to respond appropriately in hard situations. And I think in order for you to be able to teach, especially in that way, you have to have a heart of compassion, and you have to have a desire to even want to give that much of yourself to somebody else.
Yeah. So if you don't have passion and compassion, how
Right.
can you deal with 600
You
people
can't.
every day?
You can't.
So, and I was just thinking, you talked about having a point where you had to step away from a campus,
Yeah.
an entire district.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's how like burnout kind of manifested for you in that way?
Most definitely. I guess for context, the campus where I started, where I first got that call and got that position, is the campus where I elevated every time. So every promotion I received was still on the same campus. So I was there for a lot of the changes.
Right.
Staff changes, administrative changes. I've seen a lot. I was there for 10 years. So 10 years of time, same school. And with each change, there's just different changes you're going to see as far as the students who come in. The area where we were, there's a lot of rental properties. So, of course, you're going to have a lot of in and out, transient students who, once that lease is up, they go somewhere else. And
Right.
then you got new kids coming in. So there was a lot of that. And I was at the point of, man, like, does this have to, like, if I stay here, is this how it's going to be forever? It was a lot of behavior needs. And when I say behavior needs, I mean, second, third grade kids bringing weapons to school and, fighting all the time. And my last year there, I had 2 parents try to fight me. I had parents call the police on me, and that was the moment of burnout. It was just like,
what did that feel like? What were those emotions?
frustration, because it's like, man, like I'm doing everything I can to help, right? Like I'm giving all that I have every day, to show the kids that I care, that I'm not just another body, but like I genuinely care, like for y'all's growth and for you to be a better kid and to mature into somebody who's going to make good choices. And I tried to extend that same, level of care and grace to the parents as well. But you just have some that are just not willing to either receive it or give it back.
Right.
And so I was frustrated because it's like, man, like I'm giving my all every day. I'm giving my time. I'm missing out on a lot of time with my own kids and my husband and my family because I'm here.
Right. And so you go like, how dare you question?
Yeah. Or how dare you not care that I care so much? You know what I mean? Like you just, And so it was sadness too, because it was just like, I do have some sort of tie, right, to these kids and to this campus and to this community because I've been here for so long. So it was a level of sadness that I don't want to leave because I feel like I'm the only person who cares the way that I cared.
Right. This is my campus.
Yes. But there was some sadness with, it's time to step away, right? But I just didn't want to because I cared about them. So it was just frustration. It was sadness. I had a lot of, to some point, I had a lot of anxiety because I would pull up and be like, oh, another day of this, like I don't want to be tapped out when I get home anymore. I don't want to feel drained. I don't want to have to sit in the driveway in the car and decompress for 20 minutes before I go inside so that I'm not, snapping at my kids or whatever. So it just was a range of emotions. And it was just like a feeling of, yep, it's time. It's time.
So when you have people in that situation that maybe come to you, hey, Sparkle, it's so hard. How do you help them through it? How do you help them to get through burnout, whether it's, in the classroom or just a myriad of things?
Yeah. One of the things I had to remind myself of, and a lot of times that I would share with other staff, is like keeping the focus on your why.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to really remember why I got into education to begin with and the moments of impact that I have had. Because every moment wasn't a bad moment, right? Like, of course, there's some really good highs. And so keeping my mind on the highs or just the growth that I would see in some of the kids, it's like, okay, this is why. Like, this is why I'm still here. This is why I still do it. And that was some of the encouragement that I would share with them, too. Like, it doesn't mean you come out of this. You just got to remember what the focus is instead of keeping the focus on nothing's going to change or these kids they're going to keep being who they are and the parents are not going to support. But then you have the parents who will. So remember,
it's not all bad.
It's not all bad. Yeah.
What would you say surprised you the most about being a teacher?
The amount of work. I really thought, I'm just going to go in here and do what I do, right? Because I work well with kids. I interact with them. I just had no idea the amount of planning, the amount of time, the amount of preparation of materials. And again, like I said, when I started, I was teaching math, science, reading, writing, and social studies for 2 grade levels. So it was a lot of content. So I was spending a lot of late evenings. I can remember some nights I would be in there like trying to do my lesson plans, prepare my materials, if it was fractions, cutting stuff up and just all kind of stuff. And I came out and it's a program going on in school. And, most programs start at like 6, 7 o'clock.
Yep, when people get off work.
And I'm walking through like, oh, shoots. But, it was a lot. It was a commitment. It was a commitment of time, effort. Even at home, I'd be sitting there trying to catch up on stuff and do grades and enter grades. Because then that's a whole nother piece. You got all these things going on, then you forget, I got to put grades in. Parents are going into Skyward looking to see what their kids are doing, and it ain't nothing in there. But yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
That's perfect that you said that. So how does that, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel like you dealt with work-life balance early on? And then how do you grade yourself now?
My first year, I felt like I was great because I didn't have any kids. It was just my husband and then there was me. Yep. And, so we just worked it out. But then when I got pregnant, it was like doctor's appointments and this and that. And then, you got to rest because you're carrying a whole kid. Yeah. And it still wasn't quite as difficult as it was to when I finally delivered. Because then I had to go, on leave. You want the time with your baby. But at the time, I didn't sign up for short-term disability because I wasn't planning on getting pregnant. Right. So I had to come back sooner than I hoped because I wasn't getting paid. Shout out to all the school districts who don't pay moms when they're on leave.
Yeah, that's a negative shout out.
Uh,
You guys just
but
be better.
yeah, so that was a whole new component for me. Even just trying to come back to work, like just the sadness of coming back, like missing being with my baby, but then coming back, and I was also a breastfeeding mom. So I was having to like be accommodated by having a room to go to pump during the day and then come back. And I remember teachers being like, "Get it together, Sparkle, get back in the groove." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I'm sleeping like 3 hours at night.
Right.
And I'm still trying to pump, and I'm still trying to prepare all these lessons, and I'm still trying to help all these children, and I'm still trying to go home and like cook
Right.
dinner."
Those
And
people you like, all right.
oh
Like,
yeah, it
I
was
got
so
2 words
insensitive.
for you.
But yeah, it got harder. And then, as I had more kids, it just got harder. And as my responsibilities at work changed, like with each position change or each role, I felt like I was losing the balance. It was definitely the scale tipped on one side. Um, and I was definitely giving much more of my time and attention to work than I was to my family. And that was kind of the point where I had to make the decision to do something different. Because and my husband doesn't complain a whole lot when it comes to that kind of stuff. But even he was like, "Hey, so something has to give."
Right.
And I was like, "I know you're right."
And how many years were you in at that point?
10.
Dang, so that was
That was just
2 years ago.
happened. 10 years.
Wow. Because things change. I think work-life balance looks different, like you said,
Yeah.
in different stages of life. So if you had to give someone some advice on work-life balance, what would that look like?
I would give the same advice somebody gave me. It took me a while to really put it into practice, but when I was pregnant with my second kid, one of the ladies that I worked with at the time, she said, "Are you going to take your whole 12 weeks for leave?" And I was like, "No, I need to get back. That's a long time for the kids and I have a teacher. I mean, I'm really trying to."
Right.
And she was like, "You need to take your whole 12 weeks." And I said, "Why?" And she went on to tell me about an experience with her health that she said literally just one day at work, her legs kind of buckled under her while she was coming down the steps. She ended up rolling, like falling down
Oh
the steps at the
no.
school. Anyway, went on to the hospital because they couldn't figure out what was wrong. She ended up being out for a whole year, like near death, because they just did not know what was happening with
Right.
her. And she said, "When I was gone, do you know who checked on me?" And I was like, "Who?" And she was like, "Nobody."
That's awful.
And she said, "If I had died like they thought I was going to, you know what HR would have done? They would have posted my position as vacant and hired somebody else." And she said, "Take your whole 12 weeks."
Dang.
She said, "When you leave here at the end of the day, leave all your work here with you, because taking it home doesn't do anything if you're not here," right? Like if you die, something happens to you, they're just going to fill the position and give the work to the next person. And I was like, man, that sat with me for a minute because I'm like, you are absolutely right.
That's the
Like,
cold, harsh truth.
it's the harsh truth. And so I got to the point, especially once I just left that first district altogether, and I was like, it's not coming home with me anymore. Like, I'm not responding to text messages and emails at 9, 10 o'clock at night. I don't care what needs to be taken care of. They're going to have to wait till in the morning.
Right.
And for the last couple of years, like that,
Changed
that's
everything.
been it. Like when I leave at 4:30,
See y'all.
I don't even have the email on my phone. Like don't give me no alert, no notification. Don't call me unless it's like I'm gonna be out tomorrow. Okay, hope you
Right.
feel
The
better.
exceptions.
Yeah, but I leave it there. Like I leave it there, and if I don't finish it, I'll do my best to do it tomorrow. But once I leave here, it's family time, and that's it.
Excellent. Wow. So now we're at the part where we do our 5 whats.
Okay.
I will let you choose who, what, when, where, or why. So we can go in whatever order.
Who?
Who's the student you'll remember forever?
Paul.
Oh, shout out Paul.
You know about Paul?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Paul is the student I will remember forever. So Paul was a kid when I was a paraprofessional in the early childhood special education program. Paul was one of the students who had autism in the
Mm-hmm.
class. And when I first started working there, Paul was nonverbal. Paul needed a lot of support with just completing like regular tasks,
Mm-hmm.
self-help tasks. I mean, just the regular typical things we take for granted. He struggled to do, and he did not verbally communicate with, except for the exceptional no, stop, okay. I mean, like that was really pretty much it. Um, when I started working there at the start of the school year, this is what I saw. On the last day of school, my first year at that school, Paul grabbed me like by the face. He just had, I don't know, he was very drawn to me. So I helped with him a lot. But he grabbed me by the face and he said, Miss Sparkle, see me. And I was like, oh my
Wow.
God. I was like boo-hooing because those were the only, like that was the closest to a sentence that he spoke the
Mm.
whole school year. And the fact that he like called me out and was like, I want you to see me, like, because he turned my face towards him and was like, see me. And I was like, I see you, Paul, like I'm with you. So I just I just felt connected to Paul, and I actually still keep in touch with him and his mom to this
Wow.
day. Like we still go out and have pizza and hang out and stuff. So yep, Paul's my guy.
Dang. Inspirational.
He's in high school now. Yeah. He was
Okay.
3.
What, when, where, or why?
When?
I love this question.
Okay.
When did you begin to feel confident in yourself as a teacher?
Oh, that is a good question. I felt confident in myself as a teacher at the end of my first full year, like as the classroom teacher, not the paraprofessional, but my first full year. I felt like I was very unsure all year.
Mm.
And then at the end of the year, when the star scores came back, now again, I was a resource teacher, so all of my kids were in special education. They were getting, services and support. And all of my kids in 5th and 6th grade, except for one student, passed the STAR test.
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, you did that, girl. You
I
did
got
that."
this.
Yeah, that was it for sure. That's when I had the boost of confidence.
I recently had somebody on. They said, after 31 years, I still don't feel confident as a teacher. And
I
this
get
person's
that.
been nominated for Teacher of the Year at this year, actually. Shout out to Ward. Miss Ward. I got my correction. Oh, I'm pointing to the camera. There's no camera. But I had her on and she's like, it's still always times where I'm just like,
I get
I
it.
don't know.
Because, I mean, the curriculum is ever changing.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it changes year to year. So I could totally understand how
Mhm.
somebody would feel that way. But I guess, from the perspective I'm looking at, it was a confidence in like, okay, maybe you are doing something right.
Right. Yeah,
So,
both answers, 100% legitimate.
yeah.
Easy way to get there.
Yeah.
Okay. We have what, where, and why.
Where? Uh-oh.
Okay, let's go with this. Where's your happy place? You get to get away from all the things, and you get to go to this place, and that's where you like to be.
So, because of what I do, I'm an introvert. So being an educator takes a lot out of me on a daily basis. So I set up this space in my house where there's, a sofa, and it's just very like calming, relaxing. The colors, like I painted in there.
Ooh.
The colors are just very calming. And when I sit on that couch, it's just like a, kind of a moment. And my kids know, my husband know, like if they are calling for me, he'll say, "Oh, mommy's sitting on that couch. She's in her room. Don't bother her right
Exactly.
now." Like they already know mommy needs that time, that space. But when I sit on that couch, I'm just like, all worries are gone. Even if I just get 20 minutes, that's my space.
Okay, everybody get yourself a nice couch out there.
Yeah.
Okay, we have what, and we have why.
What?
What's your favorite lesson to teach?
Okay. As a math teacher, my favorite thing to teach was decimals.
Okay. Why decimal?
You could do so much with decimals, but again, I taught students with special needs, and so I felt like they really needed life application practical lessons. And with decimals, with adding and subtracting decimals, you could just do a lot for them.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do is go to the dollar store or pick up stuff around my house, and I would set up a store within my classroom. I would price tag it. I would give everybody, play money when they came into the door.
Yep.
This is how much money you have. These are all the items you can choose from. I would make them add up the cost of all the items they selected. And then I would make them subtract with, this is how much you're giving me. This is what it costs. How much change should I give you back? So that was probably one of my favorite lessons.
Anything that could teach those life applications, I think those are the most valuable lessons that you can teach in the classroom, because anything that can tie it back to, okay, this is how this works in my life.
Right.
When I leave here,
it makes it more meaningful.
Yep. Okay, we have why.
That's it. Let's go for it.
Why do people quit teaching?
Whoa. I wasn't expecting that. People quit teaching because they don't always feel supported. And that could be on a number of levels. They may not feel supported by their administrators. They may not feel supported by district level, people who make the decisions for what they do in the classroom. I think, and it could look different for different people. But you have some administrators who will just become frustrated with that. And they'll just, let's do these conferences, let's start these write-ups, let's start this process and push you out.
Right.
Whereas if they had the support they needed, hey, this is what I observed when I came into the classroom. This is what I think you could benefit from that will help you get to where you need to be. Or this is how you can improve in this area, or these skills. Let's go to this PD and see what else you can get. I think if people felt more supported in the areas where they need it, then they might hang on longer.
Okay. Wow, that was great. Thank you for coming on.
Anytime.
This was amazing. If you have to give some advice to a new teacher, and then you had to give some advice to an experienced teacher, last questions, what would that be?
Advice to a new teacher: get you a mentor teacher. An experienced teacher who can help guide you through your life as an educator.
Right. Not just classroom, your life as an educator.
Yes. As an experienced teacher, I'd say connect with a new teacher. And I say that because I think once you've been in it for so long, there's certain things that you forget, or you forget how you felt when you were in that position.
Right.
And because you have so much more that you can offer to other people if you've been in it for a while. So that's it. Final words.
Final words.
I hope you all enjoyed that conversation between me and my good friend Sparkle. It was a pleasure having her on, as I knew it would be. Before we get out of here, remember, you may need to try out many things to get to where you're truly meant to be. Don't be afraid. Take the leap. Also, you never know where the advice you need will come from, or who will be the one to pick you up when you need it most. Lastly, go find your green grass. As always, thank you for listening. Keep teaching, keep learning, and I will see you all on the next journey.